My name is Dan Moricoli. I suffer from a condition called ME-CFS, otherwise known as myalgic encephalomyelitis in most parts of the world, and here in the United States, more commonly, it's known as chronic fatigue syndrome. It's an extremely debilitating disease, but I'm not here to talk about the disease itself. I'm here to talk about what I've done under the direction of Dr. Nancy Klimas to significantly relieve my symptoms, to ease them in a way that, frankly, I never thought was possible. To begin to give you some sort of an idea as to what those symptoms did to me, let me play just a short clip from a video I made about 2 years ago. Up until May of 2006, I was very healthy, athletic, and a robust individual. In May of 2006, I became very ill with what I now know to be ME-CFS. Even in that little bit of video clip, if you compare that to what you're seeing right now as I sit and talk to you, there's a pretty dramatic difference. So let me tell you about that clip. That clip was taken when I was in a period I call the wobblies. It's a pre-crash period for me. It's a period in which my cognitive abilities start to rapidly decline, as you could see in my speech. It's very hesitant. I have trouble finding words, and once I find them, with some effort, it's hard for me to get them out. Even simple words like the or and. I also stagger. Not stagger like I'm drunk, I'm just very unsteady on my feet. And I frequently have to resort to using a cane or holding on to a wall as I walk along throughout the house or when I'm able to get outside elsewhere. That wobbly period, that pre-crash period, lasted between an hour and a half at its briefest to typically 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 hours or more. And it was part of my descent into a crash. And when I crashed, everything collapsed. I had a complete physical and cognitive collapse, and I just lay in my family room in front of a TV set in a recliner, in a semi-conscious or unconscious, I think, or almost a coma-like state where everything was black. And I was not aware of anything around. And that state, that crash period for me would last, again, typically an hour, 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. And then I'd start to come out of it, and it'd take me an hour to get out. So a little bit of simple math tells you that most of my day was spent in a condition where I was not functional. And in those few hours in the morning typically, and a couple of hours in the evening when I was functional, I did everything I could to get through my day and do the things I needed to do. Well, that was then, and as you can already see, it's a little different for me now. And the difference is due to that wonderful, wonderful Dr. Nancy Klimas. I became her patient about 18 months ago. And one of the first things she asked me to do was to undergo Vo2 Max Testing. And I will tell you very frankly, I resisted it. I mean, I didn't know anything about the testing. I knew that if I exerted myself, I crashed. And the more I exerted myself, the harder I crashed. And I had spent the previous couple of years after acquiring this condition in avoiding physical effort, because it was clear if I did something physical or even mental, I mean mental stress or even long telephone conversations sometimes would make me crash. And so when Nancy said, do this testing, I looked for an excuse. And a really good one was the fact that at her clinic they don't take insurance, and so it was going to cost me $500 out of my pocket to do the testing, and I couldn't see the benefit. Well, that was then, and this is now, and I want to tell you, I was such a fool for not doing it. I mean, if I'd had to rob a bank, I would have now, knowing what I know now, I'd go rob a bank. I'm being a little bit facetious, but the impact of that testing has just been phenomenal. Just phenomenal. So I'm here to talk about that, but I'm really not here so much to talk just about the testing as I am to talk about what the testing is really about. And what it's really about is about allowing your body to heal itself, allowing your body to cope with this chronic, debilitating condition to the best of its ability. There are 3 things that you can do to help your body deal with this illness. The first is to condition your body to become stronger, more fit, to stay in your aerobic zone, and then to not get into an anaerobic zone, an anaerobic condition, which inevitably, invariably leads to a crash. Number 2 is to learn to pace yourself and watch what your body is doing throughout the day so you know when to exercise and when not to exercise. When you know when you're able to go about your activities in a normal way and when you need to go rest and give your body a chance to heal itself to the best of its ability. And the third thing is to hydrate yourself throughout the day, especially immediately before and immediately after you exercise or undergo any strenuous activity or strenuous, pardon the phrase, stress, some extraordinary stress. As we all know, those of us with the illness, that stress can bring on a crash just as easily as a physical exertion. So the game changer in all of this is a heart rate monitor. It's a device that you wear around your chest, and you have a readout on your wrist, such as you're seeing on the screen right now, in which you can tell what your heart rate is. Because it's your heart rate that's the great predictor of what your day is going to be about, and it's the heart rate monitoring that will keep you from getting into a crash situation. So before I talk more about the exercises I do, let me just tell you about this heart rate monitor and what it does. Each morning, I put on my chest strap and pick up my wristband, and I lay down 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 or even 40 minutes after I get up out of bed. And before I have any stimulant, before I have a cup of coffee or I put anything in my mouth whatsoever, I'm in my wake-up period, and for me that takes an hour, sometimes 2 hours, just for me to wake up and feel like I'm alive. But during that first half hour or so, I go lay down with my heart rate monitor on, and I get my morning resting heart rate. That morning resting heart rate is all important. My heart rate, my morning resting heartbeat, happens to be 50, 51 beats per minute. That's very low. And frankly, it reflects the fact that I've been in pretty good physical condition and very athletic most of my life. And so I've got this very low heart rate that actually gets as low as 47 beats per minute, and my normal range goes from 47 to 51. When I'm in that zone in the morning, I know I'm going to have a pretty good day. When I get as little as a few heartbeats above that zone, 54, 55 for sure, I know I'm really delicate. I know I cannot exercise that day. I know I have to be particularly careful about pacing myself and resting as much as I can, because I'm really susceptible to a crash, a bad crash, if I'm not careful. So that morning resting heartbeat is all important. That morning resting heartbeat was established by anybody. You can just take your monitor and wear it, and you can determine your morning resting heartbeat. The Vo2 Max Testing is a procedure in which your resting heartbeat is established, and the time it takes for a given expenditure of energy for you to go from an aerobic zone to an anaerobic zone. So once you understand that time and the expend of energy, or translated to your heart rate, you can fashion an exercise program in which you stay within a safe range and you avoid a crash. So what I have to tell you is my life is dramatically different as a result of undergoing Vo2 Max testing under the guidance of Dr. Klimas and Connie Sol, the physiologist that works with her. And I couldn't be happier. I hope you found this video helpful in understanding how exercise, and most particularly Vo2 Max based exercise, can help you on your path towards wellness. And now, if you'd like to learn more about my particular approach to exercise and what I do on my exercise days, I welcome you to follow me down the path that I take.